Welcome back, guys, to the Andre Delic podcast. Okay, so guys, the World Cup is done. The past month and a half, it's been many episodes of the World Cup. Football, of course, is a World Cup. It happens once every 4 years. It's the biggest fucking tournament in the world, not only in football, but in all sports. And being a big football guy, loving soccer, loving football, I had to cover it. And it was really hyped. I was really hyped during the tournament. But now that the tournament is over, I did the last episode for the 2026 World Cup. Now I want to get back to other topics and other subjects that I really love and I'm really passionate about. And this subject for today is the Odyssey, the movie from Christopher Nolan, which quickly is a fucking 9 out of 10. Phenomenal movie. Quick reaction, it's a fucking phenomenal movie. Easy 9 out of 10. And also at the same time, since that movie is based on Homer's poem, The Odyssey, it also is not only about the movie that we're going to be talking about today, but also the philosophy behind it, the story behind it, the personal development behind it, the psychology behind it, the remarks of civilization behind it, how to be civilized and whatever Zeus's law and everything else. So before we get into it, for people who don't know the story of Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, I'll quickly do a quick recap of his story, which is based on Homer's epic poem. So the Odyssey is an ancient Greek epic poem by Homer. It tells the story of the hero Odysseus and his 10-year journey home after the Trojan War. And also, quick note, so it was a 10-year journey for him to get back to his home of Ithaca, but on top of that, he was at the beach of Troy, for 10 years waiting to break the walls of Troy. And for people who know the story of Troy, it was a kingdom, I guess we can call it, which the walls were impossible to penetrate. So they had to find a clever way to get through the doors, through the gates, without penetrating the door, because it was literally impossible to penetrate the gates and the surroundings of the castle, the kingdom. So of course, Odysseus was a big hero, and he was really cunning and really smart. He went to brain power instead of going to physical power to find a way to sneak inside Troy, the walls of Troy. And the idea he had, for people, most of you guys know the Trojan horse, right? So they built a horse out of wood, a statue of a horse out of wood, and then they put a lot of soldiers inside the wooden horse, and then they portrayed like if that wooden horse was a gift for the army of Troy, for Helen of Troy, like if it was a gift for them. So of course they opened the gates, they let the gift inside, and then at nightfall, the soldiers who were inside the horse, they got out of the belly of the horse, and then they went on to slaughter the soldiers, and then to open the gates and to let all of their soldiers in so that they can go and rescue Helen of Troy and just conquer Troy and all of that. So they were there for 10 years waiting to find a way, because they didn't know how to get in. They wanted to go by force. It couldn't work. So it took 10 years before they were able to penetrate the doors of Troy. And then another 10 years for Odysseus to get back to Ithaca. So after the Greeks win the Trojan War, for people who don't know, Troy was in where Troy is currently located. It is currently Turkey. So that's why after the Greeks win the Trojan War, Odysseus set sail for his kingdom of Ithaca. However, the gods, especially Poseidon, became angry with him, making his journey long and dangerous. During his voyage, Odysseus faces many adventures. He and his men encounter the lotus eaters, whose magical fruit makes people forget home. For people who don't know, it's a fruit, a plant that people use, that you can use and eat, and it makes you, in some way, it doesn't change you. You remain the same person. You have the same thoughts, but it makes you lethargic in some way. It makes you it gives you like a high. I guess you become less aware of time and space, and you're just more in like a fairy tale, la la land place where you're just like having fun and living off the high of eating the lotus fruit or the lotus plant. So then they enter the cave of the Cyclops Polyphemus. Odysseus blinds the giant to escape, but this angers Poseidon because Polyphemus is his son. So you guys probably know the story of Odysseus and his crew. They come on this island, they follow sheep, then the sheep leads those men to a cave. They get into the cave, and in that cave, there's goat cheese. So they want to get food, so they're waiting for the owner to get back, but they don't know that the owner of that cave and the owner of that sheep cheese and the owner of those sheep is a giant one-eyed cyclops. They don't know about it. So once the one-eyed cyclops comes, this giant one-eyed cyclops, he closes, I guess, the entrance of the cave with a giant stone that only he can move. So he closes it, and then he gets inside, and every single day every single night, I guess, before he goes to sleep, he eats 2 of Odysseus's soldiers. So then, of course, they want to escape, but they can't simply kill the Cyclops, because if they're going to kill him, who's going to move the rock? So they have to find a smart way to leave the cave and escape with, first of all, the Cyclops moving the rock, and then them being able to escape without the Cyclops not letting them escape. So what they do while the Cyclops is sleeping, they don't kill him, but they blind him. So they wake him up, they stick a wooden, like a big wooden stick, I guess we can call, in his eye to blind him. So then the Cyclops now is still alive, he can still function, but he's blind. So he cannot see who goes out and in out of the cave once he moves the rock. So then what he does, since he can't see, the Cyclops lets his hand hang at the end of the entrance, I guess, at the exit, so that he can touch everyone who moves. So when someone goes to exit, he touches him. Okay, it's a sheep, he can leave. It's a sheep, he can leave. It's a man, he cannot leave. So then Odysseus, being this wise and cunning soldier, he has the idea to tell his men to attach themselves to sheep underneath, so that when the sheep leave, well, the Cyclops, who is now blind, when he can only touch his flock of sheep, whenever he touches them, he knows that, oh, it's not a human, it's a sheep, it's okay, he can leave. But then them being attached beneath the sheep, the soldiers leave, and then they go on. But since Odysseus blinded the giant in order for him to be able to escape, Polyphemus, who is the name of the giant, he is the son of Poseidon. So Poseidon gets even more angry with Odysseus after he injures and blinds his son, Polyphemus. He then receives a bag of winds from Aeolus, but his curious crew opens it, blowing the ship off course. The crew is attacked by the Laestrygonians, Jesus Christ, Laestrygonians, giant cannibals who destroy most of the fleet. Then with the Cirque, turns his men into pigs before eventually helping them. Odysseus travels to the underworld, where he speaks with the prophet Tiresias and learns how to return home. He then goes on to survive the enchanting songs of the sirens by having his sailors plug their ears with wax while he is tied to the ship's mast. So for people who don't know, Odysseus, in order for him to pass the Mediterranean Sea, in order for him to get back home, he's going to have to go by the sirens. The sirens, what they do is they sing this song, who is personalized for every single different human being. It's personalized for you. They sing this song, which makes you fall in love with the song, with all their promises, and then makes you want to jump off the ship and go and live with them. But by doing that, you end up dying. So what happens is, the underworld, the prophet Tiresias, tells Odysseus that no one has ever survived the sirens' songs. So Odysseus then says that he will have his men who are rowing the boat cover their ears with beeswax so that they cannot hear the songs of the sirens. And Odysseus wanted to be the first man to hear the songs of the sirens and survive. So what he does is he has his crewmates tie him to the pole of the ship, the wooden pole, so that he cannot move. And he tells his crew before they reach the sirens that whatever he says, to never let him go by the ropes, and to keep him there no matter what promises he tells them, no matter what he tells them, no matter how much he begs, he tells them to never let them go. And then they come towards the sirens. The sirens start singing the song, which we don't know what it is. No one knows what it is, because it's personalized to every single human being, because we all have a different mind and different psychological problems and needs and wants. So they sing this song, and also what happens is the sirens were told that if a man ever resists their songs, they end up dying. Odysseus being tied to the ship, that is the only thing that saved him, because if he wasn't tied, he would have jumped immediately and he would have ran towards the sirens. But since he survived and he didn't run towards the sirens, not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't, the sirens ended up dying. And then after that, he sails between Scylla, a six-headed monster, and Charybdis, a deadly whirlpool. His men disobey the gods by eating the sacred cattle of Helios, and Zeus destroys their ship. Odysseus alone survives. Before Odysseus set sail, the Tiresias, the underworld prophet, told Odysseus that once they reach Helios, the island of Helios, which has a lot of cattle, a lot of cows and pigs for humans to eat, he told Odysseus that his crew isn't allowed to slaughter them in order to eat, because that is the cattle of the sun god Helios. But Odysseus' crew, being hungry, not having food for the past days, and they couldn't resist, they ended up killing the cattle of the sun god and eating it. And because he did that, like Odysseus was promised, Zeus made sure that all of his crew dies and only he remains. And then his men disobey the gods by eating the sacred cattle of Helios, and Zeus destroys their ship. Odysseus alone survives. He spends years on the island of the nymph Calypso, who wants him to stay forever, but the gods order her to release him. Then when he arrives alone on the island where the nymph Calypso is, she feeds him the lotus leaf, which makes him forget about time and space. He doesn't really know where he is. He wants to stay here. He's in a good mood. He's like I said, he's like in a fairyland, like in La La Land. So he's just enjoying life. But 7 years go by, and he's still in that island. And then the gods, because Calypso fell in love with Odysseus, she wanted him to stay in that island. But Odysseus' heart was always somewhere else. Although his mind was lost, and although his mind was in a wrong headspace because he was eating the lotus leaf, he never did the action of actually leaving. But his heart was always seeking to get back home to his wife Penelope and back home to Ithaca. So then, since the gods order Calypso to release him, eventually Odysseus reaches Ithaca disguised as a beggar. He discovers that many suitors are trying to marry his faithful wife. Penelope, believing he is dead, with the help of his son Telemachus, Odysseus defeats the suitors, reunites with Penelope, and reclaims his throne. That is, in general, the story. Of course, his wife, Penelope, she stayed loyal for the 20 years because she kept waiting for him to get back, and she believed that he was still alive. And she was faithful the entire time. And quick side note, for people who don't know, Odysseus was the only man who was able to bow his own arrow, to string his own bow, and then to accomplish the challenge of shooting an arrow between 12 axes. He was the only man able to do it. And Penelope, who didn't want to get married to another man, she wanted to keep staying faithful to Odysseus. She was persuaded and she was forced by other people to marry another guy, because the people of that kingdom of Ithaca, they wanted a king because they felt more safe with a king, especially with people from the sea, that's what they call them, being on the verge of coming to their island and stealing everything they have, raping and pillaging everything they have in their kingdom. So people of Ithaca, they felt more safe with them having a king and not only a queen, which is Penelope. So they all believed that Odysseus is dead. Penelope didn't want to believe it. She didn't believe it. She was always waiting for Odysseus to come back. But they forced her to marry another guy. And because of that, she said, okay, I will marry the next guy. I will marry the guy who will be able to do my challenge. And the challenge is to string the bow, which only Odysseus was able to do. And then if someone is able to string the bow, once he accomplishes that first step, the second step is to shoot an arrow between 12 axes. Of course, everyone is trying to string the bow. No one's capable of doing it. Odysseus, who's dressed as a beggar, everyone thinks he's just a normal beggar. He then goes on, grabs the bow, strings it, shoots an arrow between 12 axes. And then Penelope sees, oh my God, that's my husband Odysseus. He wasn't dead all this time. He came back home. And then Odysseus, because all these men who were there in his home, in his castle, I guess that's more like in the the medieval times, but in that term, I guess you can say a kingdom, I guess, in his home. They were abusing of their generosity, of his wife's generosity. They were abusing of his home. They were abusing of their hospitality. So then Odysseus, what he does is he takes the bow and the arrows and he starts killing all the bad people who were abusing of his home, of his wife, and of his kingdom. That's how the story ends. And then he goes on to live happily ever after with his wife, Penelope. So that is the story in general of the Odyssey and Odysseus. But let's start off with everything that this movie can teach us about philosophy, human development, personal development, how humans should interact between each other, and how to be civilized, and how civilization should work, and how civilization can only work, and how it works to the best. So there's something in this movie that keeps reoccurring since the beginning to the end, and it's Zeus's law, the concept of Zeus's law, which is treat others how you would like to be treated, because that human being may be a god in disguise sent to planet Earth to test humanity regarding other human beings. And this goes for beggars, this goes for kings, soldiers, cooks, whoever. This goes for all human beings. So Zeus's law, treat others how you would like to be treated, because that person can secretly be a god in disguise sent to planet Earth to test humans' fate and humanity regarding humans. So I think that is, being Christian, that's a big value in Christianity, because treat others how you would like to be treated. In Christianity, exactly, it's a bit different, but it's pretty much a similarity is treat others how you would like to be treated, because everyone is made in God's image. It's the same. And I believe that is actually how societies should interact between each other, and how humans should interact between each other is to treat others how you would like to be treated, because we're all made in the image of God. That is what I believe. Now, of course, there's a limit, right? You cannot let other people abuse you. You cannot let other people take advantage of you. That's not being nice. That's not being a good person anymore. That's just being naive and dumb. So there's a limit, right? So I believe it's a good mix. It's a balance of both. It's a balance of being nice towards everyone, wanting to help people, having that human side inside of you, having that emotional side, and having that humanity concept inside of you. But at the same time, not let people take advantage of you. Know how to be assertive, know how to be smart, know when to say no, and just know when to have a good balance of, okay, I'm being nice, or is this person taking advantage of me? And this goes for both parties, right? So when you're hosting someone in your home or in general, whatever, you should you should show respect, show hospitality, be nice, but at the same time, the person receiving hospitality shouldn't take advantage, shouldn't be a jerk, and shouldn't look to profit from you or to take advantage from you. So that's why I feel like it's a mix of both. And if you look in the Bible or in Christianity, there's a verse which is Matthew 10:16, which is basically saying that you should be innocent as doves, but wise as snakes. Meaning that you should be nice towards everyone, but not let other people take advantage of you. That's how it is. I think the verse goes like word for word. Behold, I send you as sheep amongst wolves. Therefore, be innocent as a dove, but wise as a snake. That's in general how the verse goes, Matthew 10:16. And that is the perfect verse, in my opinion, regarding, am I being, whenever you ask yourself, am I being too nice? Should I maybe help him? But if I help him, is he maybe taking advantage of me? Am I being a nice person, or is he just taking advantage of me? I feel like that's the perfect balance. Of course, it will never be perfect. You can never know exactly what's the exact perfect limit and the perfect result and the perfect answer. But if you keep that in mind, you'll have a good balance in life of I love helping other people, and I feel like it's a good thing showing respect to other people, having that human side inside of me and having that humanity inside of me, but at the same time, not letting people take advantage of you, not letting people profit you, and not being naive regarding other people's bad habits and what they could be doing that is bad towards you. So I feel like it's a balance of both. And like I said, in the movie The Odyssey, it's a big concept, which is Zeus's law. Treat others how you would like to be treated, because anyone and everyone can secretly be a god in disguise sent out in the world to test humanity. So that is one concept that I really, really fucked with and I really, really loved in Zeus's Law and the movie The Odyssey. Another thing is that journey, if you think about it, he was 10 years at the gates of Troy, Odysseus, waiting to get inside to conquer. And then another 10 years of wanting to get back to who he is, wanting to get back home to his wife, to his son, and to get back, reclaim his identity as the king of Ithaca, the husband of Penelope, and the son of Telemachus. What's his name again? These names are Telemachus, the father of Telemachus. So he wants to reclaim his identity. And it took him 20 years. But one thing he never did, he never stopped. He didn't cave to outside influences like the sirens, like the lotus leaf, even though he had downs, but he also had ups. And that's what life is all about. Life is all about having a goal, wanting to reach your end destiny, never stopping, but realizing that in your trajectory, in your journey towards your final destiny, it's ups and downs. It's not going to be, if your goal is here, it's not going to be like this. It's going to be ups and downs. After a long period of time, on a long-term basis, it's going to be ups and downs until you finally reach your end goal, your final destiny. And this is what Odysseus did. It took him 20 years to get back to his end goal because he had to face many challenges in order for him to be able to get back home, to go back home and reclaim his identity as who he is, which is Odysseus. And I feel like this just goes in life in general. In order for you, I talked about this many times on my podcast, in order for you to reach your final destiny, to reach what God has in store for you, which is this prosperous life, which will fulfill your soul to the max. In order for you to reach that, you have to face challenges which will force you to grow and then which will translate to you becoming the best version of yourself. The only way that you, me, or anyone can become the best versions of themselves is by facing hardship and is by facing challenges and overcoming those hardships and those challenges. That's the only way. Sometimes you'll face a challenge, you won't make it, you'll fall. But the thing is, in order to be unstoppable, is the only quality you need to have to become unstoppable is to just never fucking stop. You keep going no matter what happens, you keep going. And that's why life is all about ups and downs. You never give up. And then once you keep facing these challenges and then overcoming hardships and challenges and adversity, what that translates to is you become more competent and you become a better person. You reach a higher status of who you could become. You become that person. And then by you becoming the best version of yourself, that then by consequence, by result, means that you will have the best life and you will have everything that God has in store for you as a person. Since we're all different, we all have a different destiny, we all have a different end result. That also means that we all have a different trajectory. That's why you cannot look at someone else's life trajectory and then want to follow into his footsteps, because you guys don't have the same life. You guys are completely different and you guys have two completely different lives, which means different challenges, different hardships, different problems to face, different challenges to overcome, and just a whole different life trajectory than the other person, because you guys are two different people. And since you guys are two different people, that means both of you guys have two different destinies. We're all unique. Every single human being is unique. And the reason why we're all unique is because we all have a different destiny, a different goal to fulfill at the end. And that's what makes us all unique, is God made us in his perfect image. So that is one thing that I wanted to discuss. And another thing is how discipline equals freedom. Now, in this movie, it's not like they said, oh, discipline equals freedom, but just in life. In order to have financial freedom, freedom of not having stress, freedom of being healthy, freedom of having peace of mind, you have to be disciplined. If you want more money, to have less financial problems, be disciplined when it comes to making money, and you will make money. If you want to be in shape, it's really fucking simple being in shape. And I can speak from experience. It's really fucking simple. You want to be in shape? It's really simple. Move more, eat less, eat healthier, and be consistent. It's all it is. Everyone can do it, and anyone can do it whenever and basically wherever. It's really fucking simple, but it's really hard. It's really hard to go to the gym every single day, even when you don't feel like it, but you still show up because you know that you have to remain disciplined in order to have the freedom of not having health problems and the freedom of being healthy, going outside and having a positive and fruitful life. Like the saying goes, we all have 99 problems until you have a health problem, and then you only have one problem. Because if you don't have health, you don't have anything. And health is wealth. So like I said, everything in life, I feel like everything in life which is worth overcoming and which is worth chasing, it's all simple. But because it's simple, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's simple becoming rich. You find a business, you find something you love, you work like a fucking animal, and then, like it or not, by working at it like a fucking animal, day after day, you become better and better and better. You get more and more money, and then you become more and more successful. Of course, I simplified it, but it is what it is. But it's really fucking hard to get good at something, to master a craft. It's really fucking hard. If you ask all the human beings who became really successful in whatever, in business, entrepreneurship, and whatever, they all said that they just were fucking obsessed with it and they never gave up. Let's take someone that I talk about a lot, right? Cristiano Ronaldo, right? He became one of the greatest football players of all time. And the only reason why he became one of the greatest football players of all time and the second most decorated player of all time, the only reason why isn't because God gave him this crazy talent, isn't because the gods blessed him. It's simply because he worked his fucking ass off and he was crazy disciplined. He had a crazy work ethic and his discipline was fucking crazy. And he had crazy mental strength to endure all those hard works and to endure keeping that discipline throughout his life. And that is why he accomplished so many great things. He simply said it, I wake up before everyone else, I train more than everyone else, and I leave the training facility after everyone else. In conclusion, it means what he's trying to say is, I work harder than all these other players. And that is why he is so successful in his domain. It's because he worked his fucking ass off. It's as simple as that. I feel like the reason why people always look for these complicated solutions for their problems is because they simply don't want to face the truth, because the truth is harsh. And the harsh truth is, if you want to be successful in whatever, business, entrepreneurship, athlete, artist, whatever it may be, you have to work your fucking ass off. It's as simple as that, but it's really fucking hard to keep showing up when you don't feel like it, when nothing's happening, there's no results, but you keep going, you keep moving on, because in order for you to have results, you have to keep going. One thing's for sure is, if you give up, you're gonna have no results. If you keep going, you're in the shit, and the only way to get out of the shit is to keep going. If you stop, you stay in the shit and you remain in the shit. If you want to get out of the mud, the only way out is to keep going, and one day you will get out. It's like working out. I like using that analogy because it literally translates to everything, right? If you go to the gym once, you're not going to see any results. You're not going to see shit. If you never went to the gym and then you go to the gym once, you're not going to see any results. You're not going to see any progress. You go to the gym for 1 week, the same. You go to the gym for 1 month, the same. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then slowly, gradually, you will start seeing results. But you won't see it after every single workout. But if you take a picture of your body at day 1 and then at day 500, then you will see the difference. Oh shit, look, my chest is more defined, is more toned. My shoulders are bigger. My arms are more toned. Of course, that is what will happen. But after day 1, you won't see shit. After day 5, you won't see shit. But you still have to keep going because that is the right answer. You want to get in shape? It's really fucking simple, but it's hard. You move more, you go to the gym, you eat less, you eat more protein, you eat healthier, you eat better food, and you'll get in better shape. And not for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. It has to become a lifestyle in order for you to achieve that goal. And then after you achieve that goal, you have to maintain it, right? So you keep going, and then like I said, it becomes a lifestyle. Just like The Rock said, success, you cannot buy success, you can only rent success, and the rent is due every single day because you have to show up every single day in order for you to keep success in whatever field and whatever domain. And I feel like this is also something that you can retrieve from the movie The Odyssey, from Odysseus, and the story of the Odyssey, which is written by Homer. Like in this movie, there's many main themes like perseverance and courage. Everything he did, he was very perseverant. He never gave up. He kept going. He kept trying, and he was really fucking courageous, right? It takes loyalty and faithfulness. Also, his wife, right, was really, really loyal, waiting for him 20 years. So was he. He always wanted to get back to his wife because he was in love. Intelligence over brute strength. This is another thing that I really wanted to highlight. How Odysseus managed to penetrate the walls of Troy, which were known as impregnable. He didn't do it by brute strength. He did it by intelligence. He knew that he couldn't do it by brute strength, and that at the end of the day, he had to find a cunning way to get inside. And that is when he had the brilliant idea to build a wooden horse, which is known as a Trojan horse, have men hide inside, and then at night get out of the horse and just do whatever has to get done. The power of the gods and faith, having faith in God, having faith in life, how important it is, because without faith, you don't have anything. And it's easy to have faith when everything goes according to plan. It's easy to have faith when life is beautiful and there's no problems. But the real test and the real question is, can you have faith when everything goes to shit? And can you have faith when everything is going badly in your life? That is the real test. That is when God is truly testing your faith. Because like I said, it's easy to have faith when everything is beautiful, but it's really hard. The real test is to have faith when nothing goes according to plan. Nothing seems like it's working, and your life is just in the worst place possible, but you keep going. That's what having true faith looks like. And then the importance of home and family. Listen, I'm highly ambitious. Many of you guys are also highly ambitious. But one thing that I can say, of course, money is beautiful. Status is beautiful. Accomplishing your goals, all of that is really fucking beautiful. But above all of that is family and health. Without family, without health, you don't truly have anything. What's the point of having millions and even billions of dollars if you don't have loved ones around you to share it with and to live with memorable experiences and have beautiful memories once you grow old? What's the point? You can have all the money in the world, all the fame, all the status, all the power in the world, but if you don't have a loving wife by your side, if you don't have loving kids, loving parents, loving grandparents, a loving family around you, what's the fucking point of having everything if you don't have that? So that's why in this, you can also see the importance of home and family. And that's why I feel like family and health is number one. You have health, in my opinion, then you have family. And then once you have those two, then of course, why not have millions of dollars, accomplishing all your goals, having status, having power, having fame? Why not? There's nothing wrong there too. So other things that I want to touch bases on is, what else that I want to do? Yes, this one quote that I read a lot, which I had on my case, which is this one, right? Which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This is really important. You know, sometimes you feel like you have a problem, but then if you look at it logically, you know how people say, if you have a problem, if there is a possible solution, perfect. Try and complete that problem. And make that problem not a problem anymore. If there's a solution, perfect. Why are you stressing? If you have a problem and there's no solution to it, why stress? There's no solution, right? But sometimes we have a problem and we don't realize that it's just a problem that we cannot do anything. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it. And if that's the case, what's the point of stressing over something we have no power over and there's nothing we can do to change it? So that's why God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and courage to change the things I can. If there's something that's bothering you in your life and you want change, if there is a solution to your problem, again, why stress? There's a solution. Now, if you're lazy and you don't want to make the following steps and take the necessary steps that is required in order for you to solve that problem, then that's another fucking problem that you have, which you also have to address. Because if you have a problem and if you look at it rationally and unbiasedly, and if it can be solved, then perfect. Go ahead and solve it. Why stress? Do the necessary steps to solve that problem. So that's why You need courage to change the things that you can change, because it takes courage to make drastic changes in your life. And that's why I feel like most people don't make changes in their life, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of courage, which, like it or not, people love staying in their comfort zone. And that is what I feel like in the movie The Odyssey, or in the story of the Odyssey, when Odysseus reaches the island where he eats the lotus leaf, he could have stayed there his entire life, eating the lotus leaf, being in a place where he feels like he's in his comfort zone. There's no problems, nothing, but he gains nothing from it because his heart always wants more. So in order for him to get more, he has to leave his zone of comfort, his comfort zone, and to go back home in search of his real identity and what he really wants and what his heart and soul truly wants for him to accomplish, which is to get back home, reclaim his identity as the king of Ithaca, and to get back to his loving wife, Penelope, and to his son, Telemachus. But in order for him to be able to do that, he needs to leave the island where he feels comfortable, where his zone of comfort is, which is the island where he keeps eating the lotus leaf. Everything in life is... Okay, what else did I want to address? Every day you wake up, be the most... This is something else that I actually saw, and it doesn't have to do with the movie The Odyssey, but I guess in a way it does. It's something I saw from Marcus Aurelius. And for people who don't know, the Roman Empire was before ancient Greece, and the Roman Empire inspired a lot of their philosophies and their knowledge from ancient Greeks. And one thing that Marcus Aurelius was really quick to highlight was, every day you wake up, be the most productive you possibly can be, and step by step get closer to your goals, your dreams, and your destiny. I feel like that is the point of life. Every single morning when you wake up, it should always be, how can I have the most productive day today, and how can I get one step closer to my end goal, to my destiny? And that's what you should do. But most of us, me also, I am to blame, we wake up, we don't feel like it, we go on our phones, we scroll for a couple of minutes, and then it starts off the day badly. But every single day, it should be, every single day, just the fact that you wake up healthy and alive, you should be grateful. Because there's many people who aren't going to wake up the next morning. Knock on wood. But that is a truth, and that is the case for many people. So just the fact that you wake up healthy and alive, and you have the possibility to go out in the world and fight for your dreams and fight for what you think is right, just the fact that you have that possibility, that is a blessing. And that's why every single day should be looked not as a burden, as, oh my God, here goes another day at work, another day of my kids not listening, another day of my wife giving me shit, another day of my boss is giving me shit. But that should not be the mentality that you should have. The mentality should be, every single day when you wake up, thank you, God, for another day of life, for another day of me being able to go out in the world and chase what I want to chase and accomplish everything that I want to accomplish. Thank you for giving me that chance and that possibility of another day being able to accomplish everything I want to accomplish and to get one step closer to my dreams, to my goals, and to my end destiny. That should be everyone's mentality. And of course, you never know what's going to happen that day, but you should always keep the mentality of, if I walk by faith, if I walk with faith, that I'll try my best this day, every single day, I'll do my best. What happens, everything that's out of my control, I'll leave that in the hands of God. I'll do my best every single day, and what happens, happens. But one thing's for sure, every single day, I will do everything in my power to be the best version of myself and to accomplish the most goals that I can and to have the most productive and the best day that I possibly can. And that is the only mentality you should have, because that's the only thing you truly have power over. You don't have power over outside events. You don't have power over outside outcomes. You don't have power over other people. You only have power over your actions and your thoughts. That's the only thing you have power over. So that's the only thing, since that's the only thing you have power over, that's the only thing that you should focus on and that you should give energy and time to, because only things that you can control and not things you cannot control. What else did I want to talk? Okay, the movie The Odyssey. Listen, I watched it twice. It's a fucking phenomenal movie. I want to give a quick review on it. Recently, in my opinion, for the past couple of years, Hollywood, cinema in general, hasn't been in its peak. In my opinion, hasn't been in its peak for a couple. Like the movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan, that was a really good movie. But before that, like top of my head, there wasn't that many blockbuster hits, crazy movies. But this movie, The Odyssey, thank you, Christopher Nolan, because this movie is as close as a movie can get to being a 10 out of 10. This movie is phenomenal. I watched it twice in like the span of 4 days, and it's a fucking phenomenal movie. Now, a big question that I saw online is this one of the greatest ancient Greek movies of all time? It's up there. I'm not going to lie, it's up there. I really love the movie 300. I have it tatted here on my arm. I really fucking love that movie. And why? First of all, I love the story and the philosophy behind it. It's King Leonidas. He knows that he has to do what he has to do in order to save his people and save Sparta. He takes 300 of his men. He knows, and they all know that they're going to die, but they're going to die for a greater cause and for the bigger picture. That takes a lot of courage and takes a lot of balls to do what they did. And plus 300, like or not, it is a factual story that truly happened in real time, in real life, with Leonidas against the Persians and 300 men. The Odyssey, it's not a true story, meaning that it's not something that truly happened in real life. It's a poem, it's a book written by Homer the philosopher. So that's a bit different. And plus 300 being a real story, it adds aura to the movie, of course. So, I mean, the Odyssey, if I'm being frank, it's like a 9 out of 10 easy. And it is one of the greatest Greek movies of all time and one of Christopher Nolan's best movies ever. And Christopher Nolan, let's not forget who fucking Christopher Nolan is. One of the greatest directors of all time. Interstellar, probably, arguably his best movie regarding other people. Inception, his Batman movies are phenomenal. The Odyssey is phenomenal. Oppenheimer was phenomenal. I mean, he has a lot of great movies. But The Odyssey is one of his best movies and is fucking phenomenal. Tenet also is really good. But Odyssey is like... Yeah, of course, you have Interstellar, you have Inception, and then I think you have Oppenheimer and the Odyssey, but hey, the Batman movies are also fucking phenomenal, man. Like The Dark Knight Rises, that's fucking crazy. But the Odyssey is definitely easily the best movie this year. Marty Supreme doesn't even come close to the Odyssey, although it is a good movie, but it doesn't even come close to the Odyssey. I don't know what other movies were like. Maybe the other movie with Ryan Gosling, I forgot the name. I didn't even watch it, but I heard that movie is really fucking good. Obsession, I heard that is also a really good movie, but that's more like horror. And I feel like horror movies, it's hard for horror movies to compete with drama movies. Like drama movies are always the movies who win Oscars. Like it's on a different level. But I heard that's a really good movie. But I feel like now Hollywood is getting slightly better than what it was, because I feel like Hollywood for once was like at its peak. And then it was slightly getting worse and worse. And then now it's getting slowly better and better. And I'm just really fucking happy being a big cinephile, loving movies. I fucking love it. But in my opinion, what makes a movie so great, of course, I have many friends, I know many people who love like the definition, the resolution of a movie, how it's filmed, the sound effects, the CGI, whatever. But in my opinion, what I love the most is the story. And I love movies who have a hero story to them, who have a hero aspect, like the Odyssey. Odysseus is a hero. He wants to overcome all the challenges of him getting back home, reclaiming his identity, and reclaiming his wife and who he is as a human being. So I love the aspect of there being a hero, just like in 300 and just like in many other movies, Beowulf and many other movies. I like that aspect. But in my opinion, the most important aspect of a movie, what makes a movie truly phenomenal, is the story. It's the storytelling. I think that is the most important in a movie. Of course, there's how you film it, the definition, the resolution, the videograph, the sound system, everything. Of course, there's everything of that which is technical, which plays a big part. But I feel like the art aspect of the story, the dialogue, I feel like that is the most important, because like it or not, movies are art. And when it comes to art, you have to have that human touch, and you have to have something that will resonate with humans. And nothing resonates with humans more than having that emotional touch, which only in storytelling and in dialogue we can have from movies. So I feel like that's the most important when it comes to movies. Of course, then being able to film it in a crazy way like Christopher Nolan also always does, that's always a plus and always brings it even better and makes it the movie even better. It's like the cherry on top. But I feel like the story behind it, the dialogue is always by far the most important when it comes to movies. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? So there's something else that I saw online, which is someone who said that Odysseus isn't a man to be pitied, that he is a man to be pitied. But in my opinion, Odysseus isn't a man to be pitied because he has a lot of problems. It took him 20 years to get back home, and then he has a lot of problems staying in the island of the lotus flower and whatever else. But what I like a lot about this story and about Odysseus is he shows us, at least from the story and from the movie, that he is flawed and he's not perfect and he remains a human being. And that is what I love. When I see a movie and there's like this protagonist who isn't flawed, who's perfect and has no problems, no one likes him. Why? Because we cannot resonate with him, because we're all human beings and we're all flawed. And that's why I feel like even when it comes to superheroes, even them, they make sure to make him flaw and to make him vulnerable to something, because then we can resonate more with him. Just like, let's say, The Sopranos. I feel like one of the reasons why The Sopranos is considered as one of the greatest TV shows of all time is because Tony Soprano, the main character, the main mafia boss, he shows that flawed side of him and he shows that vulnerable side of him, which he faints, he has mental problems, he has to seek a psychiatrist. People love that. Why? Because then we can resonate and we can affiliate ourselves with him and we can see ourselves in him, because we're all flawed, we all have problems, and none of us is no one is perfect, none of us are perfect, and we're all flawed. And that's one thing that I really love about Odysseus and also about Beowulf, let's say, is that they want to become the best versions of themselves. They want to be these heroes. They want to be courageous, but they have problems that they need to face. They have personal development issues because they're not perfect. They're flawed. They have their own personal traumas that they have to overcome. And they have their own sets of challenges and problems that they need to overcome because they're flawed and they're imperfect, just like every single human being. And that's what I love. I love seeing a movie where there is this protagonist who is the main character. He's the hero of the story. But in order for him to reach his end goal, he has to face a lot of shit and a lot of adversity because he's flawed and he's imperfect. And it's hard for him and he has to keep fighting and keep struggling. Because that's the truth for every single human being. Every single human being is fighting a battle, a hard battle in his life. We're all flawed and none of us is perfect and we all have problems in our life. And that's why we love hearing a story of a guy who is just like us, who is flawed, who has his own personal problems, his own personal traumas, but still, even though he has all of those problems, he keeps fighting, he never gives up. He faces all of the adversity he has to face, all of the challenges that he has to face. He overcomes them, and then he becomes the best version of himself, and then which means that he reaches his end goal of accomplishing every single goal he wants to accomplish, accomplishing every single dream, and reaching his final destiny. And that is one thing that I really, really fucking love about Odysseus and the Odyssey is we see how he is flawed. Just like when the sirens start singing to him, he wants to go to the sirens because the sirens show him that he has deep psychological problems, just like every single human being. And that is one thing that I really love about Odysseus is that he isn't perfect, but he's fighting and he wants to get back home and he keeps fighting. He's courageous. He never gives up. And then at the end, he stayed persistent. He stayed disciplined. He had intelligence. He was perseverant. He was courageous. And then at the end, he reached Ithaca to reclaim everything that he wanted to reclaim about himself. So that is one thing that I feel like I saw online, that a lot of people said that Odysseus is a man to be pitied, but I feel like he isn't a man to be pitied, but he's a man to aspire to be like him. And everyone who's capable of facing his fears, overcoming his adversity, overcoming his own set of problems in order to become the best version of himself, that is a man not to be pitied, but a man to be applauded, and a man to be, I guess applauded is good enough to just simply explain what I want to say. So what else did I want to talk about? Life, how life is all about highs and lows. And it's true. It's all about highs and lows. But simply because you have a low doesn't mean that the next day you want to have a high and that you're not still progressing. progress doesn't look like a linear line. Progress is like this. It's ups and downs. But even though you have downs, it doesn't mean that you're not progressing. You're still progressing, because that is what life is. Life is all about ups and downs. But one thing's for sure, you have to keep staying perseverant. You never give up, and you keep going forward. So what else I want to talk about? So this is something that I saw and I really fucking loved. So from this movie, there's a lot of personal questions you can ask yourself in order to become a better person. Like, one question is, what is the bow that only you can string? What is the problem that only you can face? And what is the problem that only you have and that only you can face for yourself, that only you can solve for yourself? What is that problem? Face that problem and overcome that challenge, overcome that adversity, overcome that fear, because that fear is a bow that only you can string. And since we're all different, we all have a different personality, we all have a different mindset, we're all different, we're all wired, and we're all genetically different, meaning we all have different sets of problems, different sets of fears to face, and different sets of challenges to overcome in order to become the best versions of ourselves. So what is the bow that only you can string? Another question. What song would the sirens be singing to you? Meaning, what is the psychological problem, I guess we can say, that only you have? And if you were in Odysseus' place, and there somehow, we know they don't exist, but if somehow sirens existed and they were to sing the song to you to lure you outside of your life and to lure you into the worst version of yourself, what is that song that they would sing to you in order to keep you from reaching your final destiny? That is also another really good question to ask yourself. And another one, which is one question that I really fucking like. What is a lotus leaf that you are currently eating? What is the thing that is stopping you from facing your fears, from overcoming all these challenges, which will then make you a better version of yourself? What is that thing that is stopping you? Is it fear of judgment? Is it fear of what your friends might think? Is it fear of what your parents might think? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of loss? What is the lotus leaf that you are eating which is keeping you from reclaiming your true identity and facing all your fears, overcoming all the obstacles, chasing your goals, chasing your dreams, and then overcoming those fears, those challenges, and those problems to then succeed in life and get all the results that you want to get in all the spheres of life that you are pursuing? So what is a lotus leaf that you are eating which is stopping you from becoming the best version of yourself and from chasing your dreams and chasing your passions? What is a lotus leaf? Like I said, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of getting made fun of from your friends and your family members. What is the lotus leaf that you are currently eating? And to what extent do you tolerate and practice Zeus's law? Like I said, Zeus's law is treat others how you would like to be treated and be hospitable to other people, because you never know, that person may be a god in disguise. Of course, no human being is a god in disguise. We're all normal human beings. But since every single human being is made in the image of God, treat others how you would like to be treated. But at the same time, like I said, know when to say no. Don't be dumb. Don't be naive. Don't let other people take advantage of you. If you're someone and you think that, okay, I'm going to allow people to take advantage of me because I want to be nice, well, you're not being nice. You're just being dumb and you're being naive. There has to be, like I said, a perfect balance and a perfect limit of being nice and respectable and showing respect to other people, but at the same time, not allowing other people to take advantage of you and to abuse of you. There's a fine line and there's a good balance and a good limit that you have to find for yourself, that you have to know when to be assertive and when to have a kind heart, when to help others, and when to think about yourself. Oh, this show has knowledge, your mind of power, train your mind to be sharp and cunning. This is another thing that I really liked from Odysseus and the story is knowledge over strength, mind over physical prowess. That is one thing that I really like. And I feel like we all need to train our minds to be sharp and knowledgeable. As much as we like going to the gym, training our muscles, having big muscles, you should train your mind as much, if not more, than what you train your body. Get educated, read books, listen to podcasts, go to school, whatever. But education is power. Knowledge is power. Like one of the GOATs rap artists once said, Lil Wayne, he said, "Mind so sharp, fuck around and cut my head off." And that is what he meant. You have to have a sharp mind because knowledge is power. A pen is mightier than a gun. Knowledge will always be more powerful than brute force and brute physical prowess. And in order for you to become unstoppable, it's really fucking simple and anyone can do it whenever, wherever. In order for you to become unstoppable, you only need to have one quality, and it's the quality of never wanting to give up and of never stopping. That's it. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to have rich parents. You don't have to be educated. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be tall. You don't have to be good looking. You don't have to be muscular. You just need to have the mentality of, I'm never going to give up and I'm going to be fucking stoppable because I'm never going to stop. It's as simple as that. And if you never stop, if you never give up, well, broski, you're on the perfect trajectory of accomplishing everything you want to accomplish and of reaching your final destiny, which will fulfill your soul to the most. Okay, and this is the last topic. Yeah, okay, so I saw this recently on social media. I didn't even think about it, honestly, because the movie was so fucking good. And it's about the diversity of the movie. I didn't even think about it, but it's true. Helen of Troy is a black woman. One of Odysseus' crew members is an Indian man, or maybe he's from Sri Lanka. I don't know. He's brown. I didn't even think about it, honestly. When I was watching the movie was so fucking good. It didn't even cross my mind that Helen of Troy is black. Like, of course I saw it. I'm not fucking colorblind. But like, I saw it and I was thinking about, okay, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen next? I mean, I don't really care, honestly. I mean, sir, at the end of the day, it's art, right? I understand that people say, yeah, but the story is about Greeks and they should have cast an all-white cast because they want to have, to be factually, historically correct. I understand that point. But at the same time, it's art and it's a movie. And what's most important for me is the story and of course, the movie being fucking good. When I watch the movie, I want to be entertained. I want to feel something. I want to be entertained. And Christopher Nolan and the entire cast did a phenomenal job at entertaining me and everyone else. So if they did it with Helen of Troy, which is a black woman in that movie, if they did it one of Odysseus' ship crew member who is an Indian guy, and another one is a Chinese or Japanese Asian guy, and another one is a tranny. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently, that guy Sinai is his name. Apparently, he's a tranny. I didn't even know. I thought he was just like a small feminized guy. I don't know, but I didn't really care about it. Like I said, it's a movie. So for me, the most important is it being entertaining, and they did a really good fucking job. I understand people saying that, oh, it's not historically correct because Greeks are white and they should have been all Greeks and all Greek cast. I understand that logic and that argument, but at the end of the day, it's a movie. They can do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, it's not like the cast was 90% black and it was in Africa, whatever. They had one black lady and one Indian and one Asian guy. Like, it's not that deep. Like, who gives a fuck? At the end of the day, the movie is phenomenal. Now, of course, the real story, Helen didn't even exist, right? It's a book. But let's say if she did exist, of course, she was probably fucking white because she was Greek. Of course, I mean, maybe even at that time, maybe they had black people in Greece. I don't know. But of course, the chances of Helen being black are really fucking low. Like, she was probably white. Odysseus was probably also white because he was Greek. All of his ship members and ship crew were also probably all white because they were all fucking Greeks, of course. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not that deep. I see people online going crazy. I'm like, bro, chill out. It's actually not that deep. But I guess it's all different. Like I said, for me, it's a movie. So the most important for me is to get entertained in that movie. So now I want to read about something which Ben Shapiro addressed on his own podcast. And he said, I have it right here. And he said, I'm quoting him, "Yes, the casting of Elliot Page," that is the guy who is a tranny. He didn't want to say, yes, the casting of Elliot Page is silly and egregious. But here's the thing. Nolan's The Odyssey is an apologia for Christian morality poured into a Greek vase. The entire movie is rooted in what Nolan terms Zeus's law. That law is treat others how you would want to be treated because anyone might be a god. Now, clearly, there's nothing like that in Greek mythology. It's not implicit in Homer. It's a direct rip from biblical morality, substituting because anyone might be a god for because man was made in the image of God. Then he went on to say, this is not only a movie that will make millions of people go read classical literature again, it also reinforces the idea that the violation of the golden rule has disastrous consequences, which is killing. The golden rule is treating others how you want to be treated because they're all made in the image of God. And then he said, I don't know. I'd consider that, on balance, a large-scale win for civilizational values. When weighed against the woke casting of Elliot Page or the dumbass discussion over whether Lupita Nyong'o is good-looking enough to be Helen of Troy, and then he went on to say that she is good-looking enough. And for the record, Diane Kruger is German, not Greek. Diane Kruger is an actress who played Helen of Troy in an older movie of the Odyssey. She was the one playing Helen of Troy, and she was German, not even Greek, so it goes pretty much the same. But of course, she was white, so it's easier for her to pass as a Greek woman than for, let's say, Lupita Nyong'o, who is black. It's harder for her to pass as Helen of Troy. But like I said, like he said also, the movie is so good, and the point of the movie is the morality behind it, the message behind it of how it's important for humans to respect the golden rule of Zeus's law, which in other words is treat others how you want to be treated because anyone might be a god or because every single human being was made in the image of God. That is the most important part of this movie. And also, of course, on top of that, like I said during the entire episode of the podcast, is becoming the best version of yourself, personal development, being disciplined, chasing your dreams, facing adversity, facing your fears and everything else. But the main message is to respect Zeus's law, which in other words is to respect the biblical theory of treat others how you would like to be treated because that person may be a god or because that person was made in the image of God. So in my opinion, that was the most important part of this movie. Not that Helen was played by a black actress. I don't really give a fuck. Or that two of his ship crew members from Odysseus, one was Indian and the other guy was Asian. I didn't also give a fuck. Or that Elliot Page is a tranny actress. I'm not even sure, like, was she a guy who went to a girl or a girl who went to a guy? I don't know. I don't really care. Because the movie, that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is to respect the golden rule of Zeus's law and to become the best version of yourself, to become the hero of your own story, to reclaim your identity by doing what has to get done. And that it's simple. It's really fucking simple, but it's really, really fucking hard to do it, to become the best version of yourself by facing adversity, facing your fears, and working hard every single day, and to be unstoppable and never give up. So guys, that was it for this episode. See you next episode. Peace out.